You know, one thing people keep saying in the comments is that I'm using fear tactics to scare people away from doing stupid things like seances or trying to open their third eye. But for the most part, what I've actually been doing is sharing the real consequences of people's actions and passing along the many warnings from exorcists. Of course, sometimes curiosity gets the better of people, and they don't like being told, don't do that, it could harm you. But this is the reality. You can listen to the priests who have actually seen these things firsthand, or you can choose not to. It's that simple. I mean, how many times have we heard Father Rehill or Father Martins warn us over and over again not to play with the spirit board?
I want to see him open it though. What the? Yo! How is it moving like that? Wait, how is this moving? How is he moving? There's spirits? Here. Ah! It's a spirit in here. Nobody's in here. How are these moving like this? There's nobody in here. The spirit is moving.
Or think about these trending pranks people are doing right now. We might see them as just harmless fun or jokes, but the enemy, the demons, don't treat them like games. They take it very seriously.
Gerizekalı. Senin olduğun çok belli. Evet. Yarabbim bak. Kes şunu. Ya bak çok geriliyorum şu anda. Kes şunu. Anladım, uzatma. Tövbe
That's why whenever I share examples such as this with you, I'll always make sure that the clips of the priests are included in the video. Look, try and listen to this interview of a member of the Satanic Temple in Mexico, how he has been greatly deceived by the devil.
Se presentó en una reja, en un separo, como le llaman ahí en la cárcel, y ahí fue donde empezó a hablar conmigo, me dio aliento, me dio todo, pero yo no sabía que era el diablo. Yo sé que era una persona normal, que estaba un rey igual conmigo, ¿no? Pero después, cuando se arreglan las cosas, pues claramente habla y me dice que iba a solucionar todo. En ese momento, pues no creí. Ya cuando voy saliendo de ahí, le digo a un celador, dame permiso de despedirme de un gran amigo, ¿no? Que me apoyó. Abre la reja y no había nadie, no había un diablo pintado ahí. Entonces agarré y me dicen ahí que efectivamente en su momento dado me iban a meter ahí ya para volverme loco y me suicidé y me mataron. Entonces yo agarré y le dije, mira, cuando yo tenga las posibilidades, te voy a poner un palacio muy grande, muy bonito, muy fuerte. Lo que yo logro, y me siento orgulloso en mi persona y en la forma que yo supe avanzar y tener la fuerza divina de Dios, del diablo y la muerte, unir un católico, un diablero, un satánico y uno que cree mucho definitivamente en la niña blanca. Júntalos y siéntalos, es muy difícil. No puedes meterlos, pero fue la fuerza y todo, pero efectivamente se logró y se sigue llevando, porque aquí puedes preguntar a una persona cuándo entré y te va a decir, sabes que soy católico, pero respeto y quiero al patrón. Ya no hay una línea de que te puedan decir que los católicos te van a atacar y todo, ¿no?
Bueno, lo que nos enseña en las escuelas es como existe el bueno y el malo, ¿no? Y el Dios representa el bueno y el diablo representa el malo. Pero tú piensas que eso no es cierto, tienes otra perspectiva de eso.
Bueno, para mí te voy a decir una sola cosa, ahorita eres bueno y te sales si eres malo.
Sí.
Porque traes definitivamente el pecado mortal, traes la sangre del diablo.
Sí.
El espíritu pues es de la muerte y tu carne poderosa y nacimiento es de Dios nuestro Señor.
Sí.
Es como tú podrías decir, es que yo no creo en el diablo, ni lo conozco.
Sí.
Sería una ignorancia decir eso. Para mí, mi respeto de la gente.
Sí, sí.
¿Por qué? Porque efectivamente tú tienes el diablo, una esencia de él, por eso es malo, bueno. O te inclinas a ti mismo y te amas si te quieres y tú vas a seguir adelante, no estás perjudicando una cosa u otra. Yo te podría decir con respeto, tú puedes venir aquí y estás adorando al diablo y ¿cómo sabes que estás adorando a Dios? ¿Cómo puedes ir a una iglesia y estás adorando al diablo? Porque eso no es solo.
For journalists to cover the Satanic Temple as part of their job, do they really have to go there in person and risk getting cursed or having evil spirits latch onto them?
We just got back to Mexico City from Pachuca, a little bit freaked out about what we saw. Had to fill up the car with gas, and the price is six. Just handing in the rental car. and looking at the mileage from the trip, and a bit freaky. I don't know what the mathematical chance of this is. It is 666 5.1.
Think about it. The exorcists have told us that demons often have a foul smell. Should we then go poking around in some abandoned building just to see if it's true for ourselves? Of course not. That's playing with fire.
One of the signs of demonic possession is a very horrible stench. Whenever a demon is present, the stench is like, I always tell people, think of that raccoon that's been sitting by the side of the road for like 2 weeks during the heat of summer, and you drive by, it doesn't smell good. That doesn't even come close to the stench of a demon. Then you think of the fragrance of Christ and radiating his love and all of that. You know, that's just something wonderful to I don't know, hold on to. I always say that, you know, the devil's like a cockroach. If you go into a room where there are bugs and you turn on a light, they scurry for every dark, you know, crack and crevice. And in an exorcism, the church is throwing the light of Christ onto these demons who are possessing the person. And when that happens, they will scurry and flee, trying to get back into the darkness.
Let me share this lesson again with you, shared by Father Winston during one of his public lectures. What happened to the seminarian who was curious and tried opening his third eye? Listen to this again.
What makes people use it? The desire for power, the desire to be special. The spirit of divination comes in to a person who is very curious in having powers. I had a case of a seminarian who wanted to have powers. So he went to the internet, how to develop psychic powers. And there were instructions on the internet how to do it. So what he did was copy it, and then at 12 midnight, went in front of the mirror, read the instructions, and touched his forehead several times while reading the instructions and what to say. Then he waited. Nothing happened. The following night, he heard something from outside his window, some whispering. So he did not mind it. The following night, the voices became nearer. And he got irritated. He thought that seminarians were whispering, but there was no one. On the third night, he heard again talking, this time just outside his window. So he became irritated. On the fifth night, the whisperings were by his bedside. There's nothing there. On the sixth night, the whisperings were already by his ear. On the seventh night was already the word. He could hear talking clearly. Then he started to see spirits inside the seminary. And he became afraid. So when he told me the story, I wanted to get a bat. Why did you do it? And his answer was, I wanted to have powers. Ritual. The occult forces in divination is always diabolical, whether you know it or not. And the Catholic Church tells us clearly that all forms of divination are to be rejected, including the phenomena of clairvoyance or occult third eye. because there is a desire to have power. And perhaps some of you, including the sisters, sorry to say, and even some priests would want to have the power to see, because they thought that if they have this clairvoyance, they can feel more closer to God and that they can pray better. The desire to see, or perhaps the desire to heal, thinking that they would be better Christians if they are able to help people by healing. But this contradicts the honor, respect, and loving fear that we owe to God alone.
And now let's listen to this clip of Father Iannuzzi on love, and I hope you're going to learn quite a bit from this one. Listen to this.
So God can peel back the veil, so to speak, of the future and see everything you and I have yet to do in life, which results in our destiny, where we will go based on our actions. And only by virtue of that vision and the grace he endows us with and the charisms he gives us at conception that we are to exercise through life, does he send us out into the world, where we try to gather up all the love we could, but where we will never be totally happy, never totally in love, because God has not given us a whole heart to love with. He has been keeping a small sample of it for himself in eternity, so that after we have tried as much as we wish on earth to gather up all the love we could, we realize we cannot until we go back to recover that peace of love, of that heart that he has been keeping for us from all eternity. And this is why certain individuals in life, like Christ, like Mary, like Joseph, like the Holy Family, forego the nuptial bond on earth because they know that they can never be totally in love on earth with anyone without God. Certainly, husbands and wives perfectly reflect the domestic church on earth, that is the Trinitarian love in heaven between the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, but never directly, as St. Paul says. It's indirectly, through each other, which is a grace, which is a beautiful thing. You know, one of the things that we humans tend to do in our simplistic minds is make things black or white. Either it's good or it's bad, and that's not always the case. Sometimes two things can be good, and the option is what's known in the moral theology as an amoral choice, meaning it's neither good nor bad. Some things could be good, some things could be neither good nor bad, and some things can be bad. An example would be the debate between Tertullian and Origen, early ecclesiastical writers, who, when asked the question, should a Christian, during the times of persecution, stand their ground and die in the name of Jesus Christ, or flee to save their own life, some answered, they must flee. Others, no, they must stand their ground and die. Origen stated that they must stand their ground and die. Tertullian stated they have the right to flee. Now, both of these choices are good. It's not like there's one or the other. It's good and bad. Sometimes God gives us two good choices to choose from based upon our human situation and vocation. For example, if I'm a father of a family and evil people are at the door and they want to kill us because we refuse to accept an illegal law that has been unjustly opposed upon us that violates our Christian rights and freedoms, what do? Do we stand our ground and let them kill? Do I let them kill myself, my children, my wife? Or let's take another situation. I'm alone. I don't have a wife or children. Do I stand my ground? See how the answer varies based upon my individual situation in life? If I have a wife and children, I must not think only of myself, which is the case if I'm a celibate living alone, but I must think of their physical well-being as well. Hence, my choice will now change based upon my situation. And this answers the question to whether or not we should stand our ground and die in the days of persecution or flee and save our lives. Well, look, you want to know what Mary would do? Go back 1,000 years and read church history. She fled with Mary Magdalene and John during the time of the Christian persecution. She could have stayed in Jerusalem and been martyred, but she chose to be there for the National Church, because she had other humans on earth to tend to instruct, to care. She was the boat guiding the church, the vessel. They needed her, and she knew that. St. Paul says the same thing. He says, I don't know which is better, to die or to stay with you. And then he says, well, after having considered it, I'm paraphrasing, of course, for now it is better that I stay. for your sake, not for my sake. For my sake, I'd just as be martyred and go to heaven right away. But for your sake, I choose not to be martyred, to help you.
And finally, let's listen to what our mother says when it comes to following and doing the will of her Son. This should be a very good reminder for all of us.
In these few words, I imparted the most useful, necessary, and sublime lesson for souls. I spoke with my motherly heart, saying, "My children, do you want to be holy? Do the will of my Son. If you do not refuse what he tells you, you will possess his likeness and sanctity. Do you wish to conquer all evils? Do whatever my Son tells you. Do you wish to obtain a grace, even one that is difficult to obtain? Do whatever my Son tells you and desires of you. Do you wish to have also the very basic things that are necessary in life? Do whatever my Son tells you and desires of you. Indeed, my Son's words enclose such power that as he speaks, his word, which contains whatever it is you ask, makes the graces you seek arise within your souls. There are so many souls that find themselves filled with passions, weak, afflicted, unfortunate, and wretched. Although they may pray and pray, they obtain nothing, because they do not do what my Son asks of them. Heaven, it seems, is irresponsive to their prayers, and this is a cause of sorrow for your mother, for I see that as they pray, they greatly distance themselves from the source that contains all blessings, namely, the will of my Son. Now, those who were serving did precisely what my Son asked of them when he said, "Fill the jars with water and take them to the table." My dear Jesus blessed the water, and it turned into the most delightful wine. Oh, how blessed 1,000-fold is the one who does what Jesus asks and desires. With this miracle, my Son gave me the greatest honor, as he constituted me the Queen of miracles. And so he wanted to be united with him in prayer. He wanted me to be united with him in prayer while performing his first miracle. He loved me so much that he wanted me to occupy the first place of honor as the Queen also of miracles. And not with mere words, but with deeds. He said, "If you want graces and miracles, go to my mother, as I will never deny her anything she asks of me." Furthermore, my child, while at this wedding, I peered into future centuries of mankind and beheld the kingdom of the divine will on earth. I beheld all families and with prayers pleaded with them to symbolize the love of the most holy Trinity, whereby the kingdom of the divine will on earth may be fully realized. And with the rights accorded to me as a queen and mother, I consider the great importance of this kingdom. Since I possess Jesus, the source of this kingdom, I placed at the disposal of souls all of his grace, assistance, and sanctity that would be required of him to live in such a holy kingdom. That would be required of them to live in such a holy kingdom. And this is why I keep repeating, do whatever my Son tells you. My child, listen closely. If you wish to exercise dominion over all things and give me the joy of being able to make of you my true child and a child of the divine will, then seek nothing but God's will. If you do so, I will take on the commitment of forming a marriage between you and God's divine fiat. As your true mother, I will ratify this marriage by giving you, as a dowry, the very life of my Son, and as a gift, my maternity and all of my virtues. That concludes Mary's sixth meditation in the appendix in the work entitled The Blessed Virgin Mary in the Kingdom of the Divine Will. The theme of this meditation is to do whatever Mary's Son, Jesus Christ, the source of the divine will, tells us.
And that is it for the video this time, and I just want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here and for your continuous support this year, and I really hope all of you have learned a lot here. And remember, if ever you have any feedback or suggestion, please let us know in the comments below. Anyway, if you like what we do and you'd like to support us, I left a link to our PayPal donation in the description box below, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your continuous support, contributions, and prayers. And until the next one, thanks again for watching and may God bless you.